Oh my goodness me! Welcome to another episode of Plot to Go.
I just sat down.
I'm Jack.
I'm Owen. It's sort of pocket.
High energy, Owen. High energy. This week you've joined us on a epic tale. Epic.
Did you take something? What just happened?
For clarity, I have the winter cold that every British person gets at some point in January, so I am
Dying.
struggling. This week we are talking about Brady Corbet's epically long The Brutalist, which I sadly did not get to see, but Owen,
I
you have
did.
the 411 of what's good with The Brutalist. We will be talking about the Traitors finale. Spoilers abound. There'll be timestamps, but we're going full spoilers.
Yeah, we're just going to go for it because I want to talk in depth about who won and all that.
I mean, our audience is mainly British at the moment, so surely you've been tuning in. Surely.
For the Traitors?
Surely.
I'm shocked at how many people don't watch it.
I don't think I know people that don't watch it.
I think not that many people I know watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love slipping into conversations, just like Traitors.
And we're also talking about...
And we're also talking about Mufasa the Lion King. Yes!
Which I haven't seen.
I got to see that epic movie.
I actually did kind of want to go see that with you, but... not going to hold a grudge or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for that. And also reacting to the Oscar nominees, because they happened.
Yep.
So stay tuned. Buckle in, grab yourself a bicky and...
A bicky?
A bicky.
Jesus.
A little, like Claudia Winkleman. Go on, grab yourself a biscuit. Owen, should we start with The Brutalist?
Yeah, I guess we should. Honestly, I don't really know where to start with this. I'm going to read the summary and then just probably like go into depth on all stuff that I enjoyed from the film.
Okay, very exciting.
So, on Letterboxd, the best summaries. The Brutalist. Welcome to America is the little tagline.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. The summary is, escaping post-war Europe, visionary architect Laszlo Toth arrives in America to rebuild his life, his work, and his marriage to his wife, Erzsébet. I can't remember how they pronounce it in the film. They literally have a point where she says her name, and then the Americans are like, is this how you say it? And she goes, just call me Elizabeth. It's easier. So I'm going to call her Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
After being forced apart during wartime by shifting borders and regimes, on his own in a strange new country, Laszlo settles in Pennsylvania, where the wealthy and prominent industrialist Harrison Lee Van Buren recognizes his talent for building, but power and legacy come at a heavy cost. So, I don't know where to start with this. This film is in 2 parts. Actually, kind of 3.
Oh.
It's really 2. There's the first part, which is, I think it was like an hour and a half, 15-minute intermission, and then that'd be like an hour and 45 minutes afterwards for the second part.
Yeah, so the intermission, because this was news to me when you saw it, is baked into the movie.
Yeah, it's baked into the film quite well, I'd say, actually. So I took a photograph when I was there and sent it to you.
Illegal.
A photo, because it is, within the film, it is a photo. And yeah, I think that's played quite well because there's this conversation about them essentially needing a photo for a certain reason, and just before part 1 ends, you have Elizabeth like, I found this photo, and then part 1 ends and the photo is the intermission. And then leading into part 2, it all just kind of melts together quite well. There's also an epilogue. That's why I said there's kind of 3 parts.
Oh,
but the epilogue is literally like 5 minutes long. So, call it what you want. Essentially, you follow Adrian Brody's character, who is Laszlo Toth. I think Toth is the correct pronunciation. Pronunciation?
Mm-hmm.
Can't even pronunciation. Say that 5 times fast.
When you say Laszlo, my brain goes to What We Do in the Shadows, man. So
Mine goes to that one episode of Doctor Who with the Daleks and the Pigmen.
lovely.
Yep. Different wavelengths. So Laszlo arrives in America, I guess seeking the American dream of trying to find a better life, while his family are back home in Hungary, Budapest specifically. That's where he's from. And yeah, I guess it's just kind of like the trials and tribulations of trying to make your way in America, as a migrant, I guess. I saw a review which, let me get it up because I kind of liked their description of it. So I preferred the first half, which seems to be kind of the consensus.
Okay.
I'd say, having read like 2 reviews that say it,
Lovely.
but I do think people generally prefer the first half. I think it just feels tighter.
Okay.
So this review said the first half is a deconstruction of the American dream, and the second half takes a sledgehammer to it. Because it is essentially these people trying to make their way in America, and it just kind of, not necessarily not working out for them, but there's a lot of awful stuff that happens. Adrian Brody's character is a really interesting one to follow because he is very flawed. He has an opium addiction, so you see a lot of him taking drugs in the film.
Is he the central character? I presume he's the central character.
He is the central character. The name of the film is essentially after him. He's a brutalist architect. Which was really interesting. Obviously, I normally do this thing with films where I go into them not knowing anything about them, so I had no idea why the name of the film was The Brutalist. Never even crossed my mind for it to be about architecture. But yeah, he is the central character of this film. Guy Pearce is also a large character in this film. He's essentially like a millionaire that is funding a project for Adrian Brody's character. Felicity Jones is his wife, the character of, I'm calling her Elizabeth. You've got Joe Alwyn, who is Guy Pearce's son in the film.
Interesting.
So Guy Pearce's character is Harrison. His son is called Harry. And then you've also got Raffi Cassidy, who is the niece of Adrian Brody's character. She's called Jofia. She plays a much smaller part, but I think it's still relatively significant, especially given like the epilogue of the film.
Okay.
So that's kind of the main cast. There's like a couple other people: Stacey Martin, Emma Laird, Isaac Banquo. I'm not particularly sure how to pronounce his name.
Was there performances that stood out to you in the movie?
I mean, I think Adrian Brody's the best performance in the film. You get to spend the most time with him. I really like Felicity Jones. She plays essentially this strong, smart Eastern European woman who, I don't know, she's I guess the best character in the film because the other ones are so flawed, and or at least the main two, Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody's characters, and I actually just wish that we'd seen more of her, to be honest. It's a very male heavy film. So where was I? I was getting on Adrian Brody's character with flaws. He is said to, at one point in the film, to be quite heavy-handed, and also you kind of see him like cheating on his wife and things. So there's another flaw of his. It's just this kind of like character that is it's almost, they're kind of playing into that cliche of like tortured artist or something, because he seems to have like demons or whatever. I don't know if demons is the right word, but just someone who keeps doing bad things. There's obviously something going on there. But they portray him as like this very talented and skilled person. You see, I mean, straight away when he moves to America, he starts working in a furniture store, and he gets employed to work on someone's office and kind of turn it into more of like a library or like a reading space, and it's stunning. Like straight away, like you can see his mind at work. That character that employs him for that is the character of Harry, who is Guy Pearce's son in the film, and then through that he gets the larger project, which is where most of this film takes place. It's kind of a larger project,
a megalopolis, if you will,
a megalopolis of a project that he's working on. It's funny, Megalopolis crossed my mind when I was watching this film, and I'm not sure why.
Well, what architecture?
It might be that.
The megalon. Surely he used that to build the Brutalist.
What's wild as well is, because we obviously mentioned this just before we started recording, this was $10 million. Nobody knows how they shot it for $10 million. And then you think about Megalopolis being however much it was, and that film does not look good.
Gosh, I think in the hundreds.
He sold a winery for it, did you know?
Yeah.
I also saw a comment or a review that mentioned them shooting it in like 30 days. Is that true?
I have no idea. Megalopolis budget was 120 million.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Really, compared to what you've seen here.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was thoroughly impressed by this, especially because there is this large project that you do get to see some sections of it, and also like the exterior from a distance getting built. And so I was just sitting there like, they can't have built this, like, is this just really good miniature work? Like, I just was just kind of interested in how they were going about dealing with this project in real life to pretend that the project's getting worked on in the film. Shot beautifully.
To go back on your point about shoot time, it was shot in just over 30 days, 34 days.
Which is absolutely wild.
Okay. Because this movie's been marketed a lot as, you know, an epic.
Yeah.
Or like an American epic. Would you use that word to describe it?
What does epic entail?
I think just like the grand nature of the film, people are saying you have to go out and see this in cinemas, like on the largest format possible. Like there's a grandness to it.
Yeah, I think that comes from the kind of the architecture aspect of it.
Right, okay.
Also, like I said, how it was shot, like it is just stunning. It's this thing again, it's shot on like VistaVision or whatever, so you have like the grain and the artifacts on the screen and stuff, and I absolutely love that. The score was great. I think you really like the score and the use of music as well. Yeah, performances were great. You really believe that Guy Pearce is this kind of just like, you believe he's just like this millionaire dude that just kind of wants to spend his money on this like this project, just kind of not willy-nilly, but there are points in the film where Felicity Jones's character describes this project to him as someone doing up their kitchen, because he kind of picks it up and drops it.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. He actually very much gave me silly vibes from Uncharted.
Oh.
He's like this late 50s, early 60s guy with money. He's sitting there in like his tuxedo or whatever with his little mustache, and he's all great. And it was very much giving me Sully.
Huh.
Yeah. Not all the way through, just at like a
sure, yeah.
Like I said, there's obviously drug use in this film. There is also a rape scene, which is a very uncomfortable watch. So if people do not want to see something like that, would not go see this film.
I did want to ask about when we're recording this, there's been articles dropping about the use of generative AI in the movie. As of recording, the latest information that's came out has been Brady Corbet, the director, has confirmed the use in some cases. So there was a company that was employed to alter Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones' accents when they're speaking in Hungarian. And then also there's scenes at the end with blueprints that apparently were AI rendered drawings that then artists drew themselves. Apparently that was debunked, and actually it was just like images made to look like shitty 80s drawings. I would just love your opinion on whether you could notice this kind of stuff, and also just your opinion on the use of, I guess,
AI and stuff. Well, okay, so
film.
First of all, didn't notice anything. I was aware of the whole voice stuff going in, but I wasn't aware of the blueprint stuff at the end, so obviously wasn't looking for that. Was listening out for any sort of alterations of specifically Adrian Brody's voice. Didn't notice anything. Since then, we've obviously talked about it and found out that it's specifically when he's speaking Hungarian. So the chances of me noticing that are like 1 in a million.
Sure.
Because I don't speak Hungarian.
What?
Oh my god.
How did you watch a movie?
I know, right? Like, unbelievable. So yeah, didn't notice any of that. The blueprint stuff at the end, I feel like was so quick too. Like I said, it was like 5 minutes. So I guess you weren't lingering on that stuff very long. And like you said, if the accusations were that they used it and then drew it anyway, I guess you would never notice, because it would be refined by the artists that actually ended up drawing the blueprints. My opinion on the use of AI is a weird one, because I understand it as a tool. Like I've watched a lot of like Corridor Digital, and they've kind of talked about it getting used as a tool, which they got a lot of flack for, and for good reason too, because what they did was, I think, was they were turning people into like anime, but they were training it on like a lot of anime that just existed, which is essentially stealing, depending on who you ask. So when they got flack for that, they went and made a second one, because like I think they were going to make a second one anyway, and they got an artist to specifically draw their style of animation so that they could use that to turn people into anime. I think this is kind of how this went. So essentially at that point you have employed someone for their art style, and it's no longer a problem. So AI is a weird one. I think we're still trying to figure out what's going on there, like how we're going to figure this out, especially because at this point it is a can of worms. And so when you start using it, there's no turning back, I don't think, because you have to put laws down, which is the biggest thing. So the biggest two things to me are like the actual laws that need to get put in place, because this stuff is here now and it probably is here to stay, which is relatively unfortunate. But I guess if it speeds up workflows, you might get better stuff out of it. It's strange, as long as it's not getting used as the artist, if that makes sense. Secondly, the whole can of worms thing is that, and I was talking to someone about this in the pub last night, essentially we were talking about video games and using it for NPCs. So essentially getting people's voices and then training AI with that, and then turning dialogue into voices for NPCs. And he had made the point of Bethesda, who makes Skyrim and Fallout and things. The main storyline has actual dialogue, but the side quests often are just text. So at that point, you could essentially use that and you wouldn't be stealing jobs. The problem with that is, as soon as a company like Bethesda were to go and do that, a company like, say, CD Projekt Red might look at that and have side quests that are already voiced by real people and choose to make the same decision. So it is a weird one, with it being a whole can of worms, where you could technically legally go about doing things in a certain way, which I think they were wanting to do with the whole scanning people to use them as like background extras or whatever. And then obviously they had the strikes, and I think that kind of got put to bed, rightfully so. So it is this weird one of trying to find a balance of, this can be used as a tool, but we have to keep in mind that there are real people who need real jobs. So there's the monetary aspect, and also like the quality of art, like having actual artists do things. So not really sure how I feel about it getting used for dialect, but if it was the editor that was using his own voice and he was happy doing that, then I guess that's okay. It's a strange one.
Feels very much like, because it is awards season, you know, a lot of the crafts people of these awards movies are getting interviewed. This happened, and it is a like fear-mongering thing in Hollywood, I feel like, at the moment, that AI is such a broad term used for so many different things. I think specifically generative AI is where like a lot of issues come into play. But we read the Vanity Fair article that came out a few days ago. So like last week when you're listening to this, it does seem that people kind of ran away with headlines of like, the Brutalist uses AI, and it is a little bit more complex and nuanced than that. how people go about, you know, categorizing this and stuff. I don't know, but no, it's interesting to hear your thoughts. Do you have any more thoughts on the movie? I'm very sad I missed it. I am.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm sure there are more things I could talk about, but I don't have you to bounce off of. So I kind of like, I've said as much as I think I can like say it off the top of my head. I do want to sit with it longer and just unpack it properly because I literally saw it a few hours ago.
Sure, yeah. It being like a 4-hour movie takes a little bit of time to digest.
Will say, did not feel like 3.5 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it felt. I was just in it though. I think I just like, because I knew I was going to be there for like 4 hours, I just kind of like checked out and I was there for the film. I was in it. And that first half, like I said, I feel is quite tight. Maybe because there's a lot happening. I think there's a lot of progress made in that first half. And then in the second half, you're kind of sitting with this larger project for the most of it. So
nice. And we'll touch upon The Brutalist a little bit more when we talk about Oscar nominations in a little bit. So now we're going to talk about the trailers. There's timestamps if you want to skip. This is literally just going to spoil all of season 3. So go look in the comments if you want to skip this. But yeah, a British piece of cinema, some would say. Oh, Owen, I haven't seen you talk to you about the finale.
we haven't talked about the show much actually.
Yeah, we've been watching it on different timelines.
Yeah, because often I'm trying to watch it with someone else. So what happens is I'm busy-ish through the week, and so like sometimes they'll stack up. And this was the worst week for it. Literally had the 3 of them stack up and watched all of them on yesterday.
Did you have anything spoiled for you?
Yes.
Oh, what did you have spoiled?
The last couple of weeks I've had things spoiled when I've kind of been and it's annoying as well. Like one of them was the BBC, which was 2 weeks or a week ago, and so that was essentially I got spoiled that Linda got put out.
Yeah.
And then this week I had spoiled that essentially Freddie became a traitor and then failed to be a traitor.
Oh.
All in one go because he posted a TikTok about it.
Oh, lovely. Okay, but you didn't know about Mina
Going out, no.
No, and then obviously the winners.
And stuff. I didn't know that. It's so interesting. This is my first time watching the show, and it's your second year watching it, but you watched the 2 seasons last year.
Thank you, depressive slum.
Thoroughly enjoyed. Looking forward to the next season. I will be going back and watching the other 2 as well.
You should.
Yeah, it's funny seeing the ending and you. So what? There's 5 of them left. One of them's a traitor. You watch them vote out the traitor brilliantly, and then there's 4 of them left, and nobody trusts each other because why would you?
Right.
It's so easy watching it from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, like, they're obviously all faithful. Like, why don't you trust each other?
Uh-huh.
But like, if you were in that situation, I know you as well. You'd be getting down to the last 2.
Okay, this is the only flaw I think with the show. I think you can still watch it and totally enjoy it. But there is a major flaw. When you're sitting there at the end, there's 4 faithful left. You have a prize fund of whatever. Great, we know we're all faithful. They can all be thinking that. I'm going to have to split it 4 ways. What if I just voted out 2 people?
Yeah.
I then get double the money. And I think it's both a flaw and actually a really cool part of the game, because then you work out people who are inherently selfish and people who aren't. So like Alexander, in my opinion, was playing a more like selfless game than some of the other people in there.
Just in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like actually looking to play as a team.
Yeah.
Where some people are so focused on like individuals.
I would like to make the point that I don't think the last 4, any of them were thinking about the prize pot. I think they were genuinely thinking about someone being a traitor and completely losing the money.
Yes.
But
like during the game as well. You're
100%.
See if there's no evidence. And somebody like, they ate their fucking dinner weird. Yeah, they did eat their dinner weird. Yeah, just fucking chuck them.
Yeah,
there is like no reason why you wouldn't.
It's funny, I was thinking about that like more for the traitors, where even though there's less of them, so like the prize gets split, they get more of the pot. I for some reason would imagine the traitors doing that more to each other, because you're already in this mindset of like, oh, like
betrayal.
like, yeah,
Like, yeah.
which is just odd. But I do think.
But that I cannot wait for you to watch
Oh,
all the
season
seasons.
1 too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you have like, for this being your first time, so interesting. Because for people who've watched season 1 and 2,
yeah,
Mina is actually like a really refreshing traitor.
Cool.
Because she's like, I'm about this sisterhood. I'm like actually loyal. Like she genuinely, it's so bizarre. She wanted to keep.
She's as
Linda
loyal
in.
as possible.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
she
she
gets to the point where she has to cut
So
people
I'm gonna
loose.
actually have to vote you off.
Yeah.
And they have a frank conversation. But then she wants to win with somebody at the end. She's like, I don't trust Charlotte 100%, but like, I do as much as possible.
It really hurt watching their two things. And
Bad to back.
yeah, no, Mina's like, yeah, I can quite trust Charlotte or whatever, and Charlotte's like, I don't trust Mina. Like, I need to, like, I'm all for myself. And you're like, Charlotte was lovely until she became a traitor.
Yeah. My God, I watched the after show thing because I was just curious.
I want to watch the last one.
The last one's interesting.
Yeah.
She knew she was on a TV show, and I think in the best way, like, I mean that as a compliment, because she played into the like, well, I just have to play the game. Like when she is in that meeting with Frankie,
Yeah. Scary as fuck.
the fucking champagne that she picks up.
Yeah, and she's like,
This
like,
doesn't
she's
leave
looking
this
in her eye,
room.
Yeah. So yeah, just scary.
It's properly scary
Yeah.
stuff. I felt so bad for Frankie in that last episode.
Oh my God.
I actually teared up at this show
Yeah.
when she like drags Leanne and she's like, as a mother, I wouldn't do that to you and your kids. I know what you've been through. Like, how can you, as Leanne, listen to this person and be like, nah, she's lying? I get it's
Some
the game,
people are like do that. It's crazy.
but I feel like you could, as easy saying this as somebody watching it, but you can read she's being genuine.
Yeah.
I think it
As
was
someone
fairly
watching
obvious that Charlotte was like
Frankie
lying.
grew on me so much as well.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in the beginning where it was so tiny, but like someone said something, she reacted really badly to it. Like Leanne did for like all the time. Like just overreacting to everything. So Frank did that once and I was like, ugh. But then you get to spend more time with her and I'm like, oh, I actually really love
Her
Frankie.
fits, incredible fits.
Yep. 100%.
I need her to have a TV show.
It's funny, we talked about, obviously not here, but like we mentioned, you were like, who do you think is going to win? And this was like when we had like 20 people. I think we both said Leanne.
We both said Leanne.
So that's cool.
Yeah. I would like to say that the other seasons I don't really watch a lot of reality TV, but the other seasons feel less produced.
Okay.
And I still think this about this season, that it is quite natural. And you hear Claudia Winkleman, and she sits upstairs and just like watches cameras. And obviously they have to craft storylines. And I think they had to have, they had to construct storylines a little bit more this season than they have previously. Like there was that whole thing about, what's the guy's name? The Scottish guy.
Alex. Just essentially not being in the edit.
Not in the edit. And then like finding out that Linda and Lisa went to his wedding because they were that close.
Oh yeah. So there's this one scene like Alex's like last or second last episode where Lisa's like, I think you're an incredible human being, and everyone's sitting there because I've seen people talk about this, and everyone's like, we never saw this relationship. Like, what are they talking about? We've never seen them interact before. And also, again in the edit, they talk about they do the exposition of Linda and Lisa being close, but you never see Linda and Lisa being close. They are the two old ladies that go in. They mention that at the start. You see them kind of interact in like one of maybe the first episode, and you barely see them interact again. But they get spoken about as being together. I also noticed that like I vehemently dislike Joe, probably because of the edit. But people in the last episode were like, I really wanted Joe to like win this, and you're like, oh, Joe must have been like probably lovely.
Yeah.
But like the
He had
edit,
a villain edit.
just like does that to people.
I saw people saying that the Traitors Uncloaked, which is the after show, the last one, felt like damage control to them.
Right.
I find that so interesting because I felt that while watching it. Like Claudia Winkman would be there and they would ask her about stuff, and every now and again she'd say something that was like, and she said stuff about Joe. She's like, Joe would always be there to pick everybody up and like make light of stuff and have a joke, and that does not come across on the show at all.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is in part them saying that because that's true, and also in part because they see social media's reaction to it. The man's sitting there in the audience, he's had to endure a month now of like people hating on him online, and they're having to do that kind of stuff. That's the bit that I don't really love about the show. Like people online, but the like real villainization of people and stuff, that's just, it's reality TV.
Yeah.
Still. The point that I was going to bring up was I saw a clip on TikTok that was like a podcast talking about how the finale was edited to make you feel a certain way.
Okay.
So with all the speeches of like Leanne and Frankie talking, you get to that ending moment when she's with her like little chalkboard, like there's no way she's gonna vote for Frankie, and then she does. There was no, like, Jake was not featured in that finale enough.
Sure.
And he has probably had conversations that have just been cut out because it makes for a better storyline for her to like betray Frankie instead of them going off and saying it's obviously Frankie and Alexander, and then both going because then it kind of confirms what's going to happen in the end instead of it being a shock. And like that's where you feel like you get manipulated a little bit.
But to be fair, because we haven't seen those scenes, you don't know Leanne and Jake were like,
but
let's
they
play
have
Frankie
to
and Alexander.
Because the scenes that you saw in that final episode were like Frankie coming in and going, oh, it has to be Alexander or Jake, like one of them or both of them or something. I don't know.
I don't necessarily think there does have to have been. I think it's more like I think you knew without any of them having to have had conversations that it would get down to those two of that last four because of Alexander at the round table the night prior and Frankie and Charlotte having the kind of like who's telling the truth. So like regardless if Leanne and Jake had that conversation or not, I think both of them knew the right thing to do was to vote out those two.
Yes. Interesting. Because it leads me on to the fucking seer thing. I was thinking about this today.
Which is brand new.
Brand new. It's the dumbest inclusion. Because, see, when you think about it, if you get the role of the seer, you have to get kicked out. In every single possibility. If you're a faithful...
Oh, God. Faithful could both be traitors.
Yes.
Right.
Faithful could both be traitors. Faithful traitor, then you have what we had. Traitor faithful, they still have to kick you out because they don't know if you're telling the truth, or you lie and say they're a traitor.
And then traitor.
Traitor, you both say you're faithful. There is no scenario that it is a good idea. You have to kick them out.
But that's still fine if it is a bad idea because none of them thought it was a bad idea. Everyone really wanted it.
Yeah, because they think
it's
the
going to be
whole
this
point of
useful
this
tool.
show is like instincts and don't think. Because see if any of them just thought at the end, this was annoying me. Sure, if you don't believe Frankie and she was just a really good actress, kick her out as well. Alexander had no need to get kicked out. It was so obvious that nobody else was a traitor based on the previous night of like Freddie just going after Charlotte. It was obvious it was Charlotte, and it was obvious there was no other person there.
From a viewer's perspective,
I don't know. I think they have been extraordinarily dumb this season compared to
other
others.
ones. Interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of. I was less frustrated watching like the final couple episodes than like the middle ones, because I think it's really interesting when. I guess there's less of a chance that you're going to vote out a traitor when there's loads of them, but just the blundering, like it was always like they weren't voting out based on using any sort of intelligence. It was always like the weakest links they were voting out. Just really fucking odd behavior and decision making.
It is, even if the game is a bit like it is interesting from a psychological point of view of like loud people tend to get like banished or murdered first, or like opinionated people or like incredibly quiet people, and like you have to kind of always play this middle ground
where you're trying your best.
Yeah, and then
strike a balance.
it's people who slip up that kind of go by the wayside. When you think about Leanne was very quiet and calm and cool.
Until
for half of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I also think someone like Alexander, who, when he spoke at the round table, I was like, you are trying to be so diplomatic that your words are coming across as just like void of any meaning.
I never thought they were void of any meaning, but I found actually no. Every time Alexander spoke, I was like, listen to him, like he's stringing sentences together properly. But people would just jump on him. It was the weirdest thing. I actually do think it was like people maybe judging him because he sounds a bit posher or whatever, so they already have like this mistrust in him or something. Because people would just like, especially Leanne, would just like the last round table. I think he says something, and she's like, liar, and just like goes in on him like straight away.
Yeah.
I guess it is heated because it's like the last 4 or 5 people, but also that's edited to seem like they have like barely any time at the round table.
Yes.
This goes on for like hours.
In the after thing, they were like, it's really funny. Me and Leanne have like a really nice friendship, but it doesn't translate at all.
I think I saw that on a TikTok.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Again, left out the edit. So
some iconic moments that will forever stay with me.
oh, I need to send you a TikTok. I actually saw one that was literally, it was like just scenes from the
Love
season
it,
that are gonna get remembered.
Thank
or well,
you.
actually forgotten, because things get forgotten like that nowadays. But
Please send me that.
I will.
Get over it. I keep saying that.
Sorry.
Sorry. You don't need to be a sailor to know how to tie a rope. Sorry. A lot of it is just Linda. There was something Freddie... Was it Freddie said at the last round table? Oh, no. It was Charlotte. She's like, whatever you do, don't trust a word out of this woman's mouth.
Yeah. And that's what essentially caused Frankie to get voted out at the end there.
Okay, scenario. If you were Frankie or Alexander, would you be pissed?
Oh, they got voted out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's a lot of money. I think I actually think everyone's like such a good sport that plays those games.
Yeah.
Because it would be very frustrating, especially if it's going towards something really meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of wonder, like, do they get a base fee for just being in the show?
I thought about this as well.
Because I mean, surely you're out of work. Like, there has to be some sort of they must have to cover you in a certain way. I should probably know this. This is obvious information that all of us.
I mean, it won't be SAG because it's not America, but there will be like a base rate for filming TV that they'll get. I'm sure. But I feel like the opportunities that come from this are like lucrative
if you use it wisely. There's people like that just disappear.
Yeah, but that'll happen with every reality show.
Yeah.
Sorry, not that I watch like Love Island, but like, do the people that get kicked off first, do they get brand deals?
I don't think so.
Linda though, can't wait to see her advertising like Skims.
Oh my god.
What was your favorite moment
of the whole season?
Yeah. Further, yeah.
I actually, on the point of Alexander, it's not my favorite moment of the whole season. But when they're doing the coin thing,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
He runs, and Claudia turns to camera. It's just a shot of her. And she goes, "That was fast,
like a pony."
Yeah, it's so good.
That honestly might be one of mine. Anything with Claudia.
Yeah, no, her like weeping at the end when they won.
She does it every year.
Oh, does she?
It's so brilliant.
I actually I never kind of understood the Claudia Winkleman hype because I'd never really seen anything with her in it, but now I get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that woman.
See, when she's talking about it, she says, I sit up and I watch them every day. That it gets the final few days and I'm so invested in each of them.
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder.
Yeah. Which is genuinely lovely to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Genuinely. Justice for Mina, though. She was the best. I'm so sad
she played such a good game.
And even though I feel like people hated on Charlotte towards the end because she was kind of villainized a bit, she played a bloody good game.
It's insane. The Welsh thing, actually the best play ever.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's crazy. And also, like, that breakfast when they walk in, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
It's
and
so
she
awkward.
just hams it up. Like, crying, tears. I feel like everybody's like turned against me. Like, she did really well.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That stuff actually got under my skin. People being able to manipulate people with tears so well.
Yeah.
I was like, people are psychopaths.
But I do understand it because she probably is to a level upset.
Yeah, Mina actually described that in one of those sit down.
You're just filtering it in a different.
Yeah, that's what she said. She was like, I actually do feel awful, so I'm just using it this way.
I liked in the Uncloaked thing. She was saying it was quite fun being a traitor and stuff, but that final day, somebody knows you're lying, and the fact that just one person knows it, strips it of all its fun, and she felt awful. So
great.
What a show!
I don't think I could be a traitor.
Really?
Yeah, I know you'd love to be a traitor. I
What the fuck?
No, you're super competitive. You fucking love games. I can see you being a traitor. I played Among Us with you. I know, I know how you are.
Yeah.
No, it would stress me out. I don't like lying, so but seeing how people switch up in that game, maybe I'd be great.
I think the play is to you just have to convince yourself you're faithful. That's what you have to do.
So difficult though when you have to be coming up with theories and you know who is faithful and who is traitor, and so what you're thinking about more is probably how do I twist things in certain ways.
That's the thing that would get me. Is I think I'm a little bit too empathetic. I would have to detach because if we're all sitting around and people are yeah, I really want this. I want to do IVF. It's not been going well. Becoming pregnant. I think she's a fucking traitor. To do that is difficult.
Yeah. I didn't realize that they did that dinner a little a little bit before the minute they do.
Yeah.
Just to make things worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved having that dinner then. And they're sitting there and then they go up to the turret and they're alright, who we murdered? It didn't even faze them.
The funniest thing about that dinner was they left Joe till the end and Joe didn't know what he wanted to spend the money on.
Yep.
And everyone else has these wonderful backstories.
Maybe that's why they murdered him.
Maybe. So maybe the dinner was an excellent idea.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that was The Traitors. Go give it a watch if you listened to this and didn't watch it. And if you haven't seen season 1, season 2, season 1's great. I think this was better. Season 2 is the best season of reality TV I've ever seen. Is
that just because it's the first one you watched?
No. I think people agree. I'm so glad you don't know any of the twists and shit.
No.
And it's just great.
I know a traitor from season 2.
Who?
I don't know her name.
Oh, you're fine.
Cool. Do you want to talk about Mufasa?
No. Yeah, why not? I went to see the Lion King prequel, Mufasa. Why? Well,
Why not?
actually, do you know what? I went with my nana because she wanted to see it. So it was a lovely cinema experience. The movie itself, no, it's just bad. Mm-hmm. It is by the director, Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Wow. And it is just bad. I
honestly, I wish I could say more redeeming things about it first before diving into stuff that I didn't like about it. I genuinely did not like any part of this. I think it looks horrible. I think that's the main draw, is this photorealistic animation. The Lion King came out in 2019. The remake.
The live action.
The live action.
Lion King.
2019.
Something like that.
Whenever. A little while ago. So say 5 years since then.
Sure.
There has been improvements in CGI and photorealism. I don't think there was in this movie compared to the original. In my opinion,
the original.
The original live action.
But there was nothing wrong with the live action one.
No, I actually thought it looked pretty decent. I think it gets a lot more flack than it should.
Oh really? I didn't even know it got flack. I'm not in the conversations.
Oh really?
The live action Lion King.
Well, it's the same tired conversation of why are we making live action movies?
That's about all I know about these films, because I'm in the same boat of why do we have these films?
Which is so justified. And I think especially justified when it came to The Lion King because it's a shot-for-shot remake.
Yep.
So it's like, why? There is more emotion in the original cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we go see this? The reason is it made a lot of money. So
my question for Mufasa is this an entirely original script?
it's an original story. Can I spoil part of it for
go
you?
for it.
So, I guess light spoilers for Mufasa if you care. We follow Mufasa, it's a prequel. We don't start in this prequel land though. We start following on from The Lion King, which kind of shocked me a little. You follow Simba and Nala's kid, who Nala's going away to give birth to another child, so their kid needs to be looked after, and they get looked after by Rafiki, and then Timon and Pumbaa. And Rafiki's like, I'm going to tell you a story. The story of Mufasa, a great Lion King. And then it cuts back to young Mufasa, and then you follow the story from there. And as the story progresses, you get little interjections of the kid being like, oh, this happened. And Rafiki being like, yeah. And then the most insufferable jokes from Timon and Pumbaa you've ever heard. This movie made me hate them.
Isn't this essentially, because there were follow-up films to the original?
1.5.
One and a half. Is this not essentially, did they not tell a story in that? Is that not kind of like how that film goes?
I don't know enough.
It has literally been about 20 years since I've watched that.
I know their kid is part of that. I don't know if they tell the story. I don't think they tell the story of Mufasa.
Not specifically, but like that format of like telling a story and then like jumping back and forth. Is that how that film goes?
Maybe. And maybe it's in reference to that. Either way, it didn't work in this because you'd have this kind of like boring story of Mufasa, which I'll get into, and then you'd cut back to just bad jokes about the story, and it would just completely disrupt the movie. And it actually made me aware of where I was in the movie, because it was like, oh, the first act's done. Shit, how has it only been the first act? And then you'd go back to it and you'd be like, but the story about Mufasa is that he is a nobody. He's not a Lion King. He comes from just a random tribe. And one day he loses his parents in a flood. This flood takes him out to the ocean, and he sails away to like a different part of wherever they are. So he loses his family completely, and this other lion cub finds him and is like, oh, come with us. That cub, I wonder who it is. It's his brother. It's Scar, and it's completely obvious from the first 2 minutes. But the thing is, they built up such a nice brotherly rapport with them that I'm like, how are they gonna villainize him? Like, I don't know how they're gonna do this. Turns out, like most good movies, it's a woman that causes their division. It's that old chestnut. It's the same fucking story. They go on an adventure, some shit, and then this woman lion, Scar falls in love with her, but she falls in love with Mufasa, and then Mufasa falls in love with her in turn, and Scar sees them falling in love with each other, and he gets so mad.
So it's just challengers.
It's basically challengers. Yep. Go watch Challengers instead of Mufasa.
Yeah.
It's just so cringe. The fact that like Scar, this like imposing Disney villain, the root cause of his evil is, oh, he stole my girlfriend. That was never my girlfriend. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You go on this boring, meandering adventure while they search for, I can't even remember the name of it. They say it so many times in the movie as well. It's like, whatever the word is, it means like paradise.
Oh.
And it's where Pride Rock and stuff is in The Lion King. So they make their way there. Exactly.
There's no worries.
For the rest of your days, Owen. Yeah, that is kind of all I really had to say on this. It looks bad. The screenplay is awful. I was bored the entire time. And also, there are songs in this, and they're all dreadful. I can't remember a single one apart from TikTok noise.
Yeah, what about the TikTok one?
That tiny 10 seconds of that song?
Yeah.
Cool. The rest of the song?
Awful.
Bad.
I'm glad that this is the only bad thing we have to talk about in the podcast episode this week, though.
Well, yeah.
Because last week was all like, meh, meh, meh. Oh, we like this, meh, meh. This one's bad, but The Brutalist was great.
And The Traitors,
yeah,
phenomenal.
Oh, I'd like to say that I'd recommend The Brutalist if I hadn't made that clear. That's the film people should go see this month if they can go see something.
Not Mufasa.
Not Mufasa. Definitely not Mufasa.
Yeah. I'm just, curious why these are getting made still.
Yeah, money.
I don't think this made a lot of money.
CGI's getting cheaper.
But no, I think people thought this was going to make money because it has the Lion King in the title. It just didn't.
Yeah, but that's all stupid studio execs that kind of like are out of touch with reality. So those are the people that thought it was going to make money, surely.
To give them credit, I found out that the Lion King is like one of the highest grossing franchises of all time for having very little IP.
Yeah.
Because of the Broadway show, which has made a ridiculous amount of money. The original, then the live action remake's one of the highest grossing movies ever. So you would expect this to perform well.
Sure.
So I just bad. Stop making them. Stop making live action stuff.
Not altogether.
No.
Stop making live action stuff. We just want anime.
Well, I'm looking at this and people are like, well, the emotions on like the animals are better in this, but it still is nothing compared to like an animated lion that you can actually get emotion out of.
Sure.
When these animals are talking, there's a disconnect. Like you're going for realism, but the like actual premise is not realistic. Animals don't talk like this, so why are we going for that? I don't know. Bad movie. Shocker.
Oscar noms.
Yay, should we talk about the Oscar nominations? We're going to go category by category and just discuss where we have stuff to discuss stuff on. But our picks and predictions we will probably do closer to the time because there are a few films that still haven't released in the UK. My weekly mention of how UK film distribution is bad.
I said that to someone again last night because all I talk about is this podcast apparently and films. And I mentioned something about films in January specifically. I think someone was talking about like a dry month or something, like watching other stuff, like older films and talking about them or something. And I was like, definitely can't do that this month because everything that comes out in America like comes out here in January.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh yeah, distribution. And I was just like, it's just funny that I feel like this comes up regularly for us at this point.
At this time of year, because you feel it.
Yeah.
Because you are like, oh, that movie I've seen everybody talking about for months. That movie that's getting nominations, some of these I just have to go, I guess.
Yeah, specifically in my case, when I was looking at the Golden Globes stuff, and The Brutalist had a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, that it really caught my eye because of that. So I was looking forward to that, and then you were like, oh, it comes out here in a couple of weeks, and I was like, cool, can't wait to see that.
I guess that's the thing though, it does work in favor of people being a little bit more aware.
Yeah.
Having then the films are already out of cinemas and they can't go see it, so I guess it's sort of like a win for the UK a bit.
Okay, actor in a leading role.
And the nominees are...
Okay, are we doing... Okay, you do that.
Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice.
How many of these performances have you seen?
I've seen 4. I've only not seen The Brutalist.
Okay. Oh, that's so funny. I've only seen 3, and I've not seen A Complete Unknown and Sing Sing.
Any thoughts here? Go ahead. Sorry, I asked you.
And then started to Sebastian Stan, I liked his performance, but I don't think he could win this with that performance personally. Adrian Brody's performance was excellent. I do remember connecting with Ralph Fiennes' performance quite a lot in Conclave, so I think that's a possibility. But again, if The Brutalist has got so much buzz behind it, I would see Adrian Brody possibly winning it.
the top two fight. I hate this because like there's 5 people nominated, so it should be like a race between 5 people,
but it's not.
It's never that. It seems to be going between Adrian Brody and Timothy Chalamet. And the reason I bring that up is because I wanted to ask you. It's a little bit weird because you haven't seen A Complete Unknown, but Timothy Chalamet had worked for like 5 years to be Bob Dylan. There's a lot of accent work there. You know, he's mumbling away. Learned a bunch of instruments, all of this. With the news that Adrian Brody's voice was altered by AI slightly, does that make you think differently about who you would lean towards in this race between the two? Because one had put all this effort in, and not say that Adrian Brody hasn't, but the fact that his performance has been aided in some way. What's your opinion on that, having seen?
I thought it might because of knowing all that stuff of Timothy Chalamet. But if the AI assistance came for the actual Hungarian side of the performance, I guess I can understand that more. Although we did just say Adrian Brody is American Hungarian, or like has Hungarian family or something. Was he born in Hungary? Like how far does that? We don't know, because it's one of those things of if Timothy Chalamet is American, putting on a different American accent would be easier than an American putting on a Hungarian accent while speaking Hungarian. So yeah, I don't know where I'd land on that personally. I haven't seen Timothy Chalamet's performance. Based on your opinions on it, I'd imagine I would say Adrian Brody should be winning this.
Not that I thought Timothy Chalamet was bad, but you seem to be very high on Adrian Brody.
Yeah, I actually don't know what I've seen him in aside from like Wes Anderson stuff. He's in The Pianist. Which
that's what he won the Oscar for.
Cool.
I think that he's the youngest actor to win an Oscar.
Really?
And if Timothy Chalamet won this, he would steal that from him.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. There's a whole narrative behind the two of them.
Yeah, no, I was just convinced he was this person, and that's what you want in a role. So
it'll be interesting because by the time we come back and do like picks predictions, you will have seen A Complete Unknown.
Oh yeah, I plan on watching all of these soon now.
So I'd be interested to hear what you think.
Yeah.
At that point, I very quickly just want to say as well, I was shocked. I keep up with this like nomination stuff a lot throughout the year. Predicted a lot of these right, yes, but I was shocked that Sebastian Stan got a nomination here, considering it's for Donald, like his role as Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought you meant performance wise, because I don't know if it like stacks up against Ralph Fiennes and Adrian Brody for me. So
the other person that was predicted to get into this was Daniel Craig in Queer, and I would have much rather him be in here. However, I do think Sebastian Stan gives an incredible performance. I was just shocked to see him here. Moving on to actor in a supporting role. Would you like to read out the nominations?
Oh, sure. I'm gonna butcher.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to tell you how to pronounce his name?
Is it Yura Borisov?
Yeah, congrats, yeah.
Kieran Culkin, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce, Jeremy Strong. I probably should have said the films they were in.
Anora, A Real Pain, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, and The Apprentice.
Yeah. So
Any
I've
thoughts here?
seen 3 of these performances.
And I've seen 4. Again, just missing The Brutalist.
And I'm missing A Real Pain and A Complete Unknown. I'm really sad I'm missing A Real Pain.
Yeah, the front runner to win this is Kieran Culkin, and from what I'd seen, I think he should run away with it. However, I do think, and I'm glad he got nominated, Yura Borisov in Anora is fantastic.
Is he the bald guy?
Yeah. I think comedic performances don't always get their flowers at these award shows, and he has that comedic moments in the start.
Yeah.
But the whole like back half of that movie is really tender between him and Anora.
Sure.
And I just thought he was really captivating. Like the pair of them at the end, the movie hinges on their dynamic.
Yeah.
And it sold me when I watched it. So I really like to see him here, and I also love that Jeremy Strong's here because he was a standout of The Apprentice to me. Loved him. He played Roy Cohn.
Jeremy Strong. I know this actor. I'm just like blanking on his face.
Succession Man.
Oh, cool. I don't know who. I don't know who I'd have here. I think you're Borisov over Jeremy Strong personally.
Mm-hmm.
Guy Pearce. I don't know. I was convinced as him as the millionaire, but I don't know if he had to do as much with his performance as someone like Yura Borisov and Honora.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I'm less decisive on who would take this personally.
Ed Norton's Ed Norton as well. I'm not. He's fine in that movie. Moving on to actress in a leading role, and the nominees are. Do you want me to read them now?
Oh, absolutely. The second.
Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison for Honora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
So Mikey Madison.
From what I've seen 4 of these. I have yet to see I'm Still Here. It's not released in the UK yet.
I've only seen 2 of these.
Oh, really?
I've only seen Honora and Wicked.
And you give it to Mikey over Cynthia.
Yeah. Cynthia definitely, like, she has her moments.
Yeah.
Especially that dancing scene in Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to explain it. I just think Mikey Madison and Honora. I think when we're talking about this, specifically Honora, because obviously we're talking about Yura Borisov, and I was talking about him versus Guy Pearce. I think Honora had so many ups and downs that there was so much for people in those roles to do in that film.
Yes.
That's maybe why that I would say it goes to Mikey Madison.
She feels like a real person, like a complicated real person in that movie. I would lean towards her as well. I have heard Fernanda Torres is incredible. She won the Golden Globe. People are saying she truly is spectacular in that movie. I'm very glad Cynthia got a nomination because a lot of people thought she was going to get Barbied, where like Margot Robbie wasn't.
Is this because
attached.
of the like content of the film? Like it's just like this. It's like this fantastical musical. So
yes.
People thought it was just going to get like.
It's like popular.
Yes.
Reference. And also like Ariana is this person that's like she is getting the bulk of the acclaim. If you were to boil it down to a single person, that people thought she was kind of gonna get left behind, like Ken and Barbie.
Ariana's getting the bulk of the acclaim for Wicked.
For her performance, yes.
I think that's wild.
Really?
Yeah, I think Cynthia Erivo should definitely be getting the recognition for her performance.
Interesting. I honestly, I think they both should. I just when we get to it, I think Ariana Grande should win supporting role because I actually think she's.
We'll see. I've not looked at the actors.
Well, we'll see in a second. Carla Sofia Gascon, Emilia Perez is bad. We'll get into that. I honestly think when you watch it, we will have to talk about Emilia Perez. But her performance is good. And Demi Moore in The Substance, I have maybe not the consensus opinion on The Substance. I think it's a little. I don't want to say because you've not seen it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll skirt past that.
You hold your opinion to yourself, Jack.
I don't think she has a very Oscar baity clip, and you'll know it when you watch it.
Okay.
And it's the clip that will get played on Oscar night.
Okay.
And I think she's great in that, and in other parts of the movie, I just don't think she's given enough compared to the other people here. However, I am leaning towards her probably winning. But yeah, Mikey Madison, I think should run away with that. Her performance in Honora's unreal. Actress in a supporting role.
Okay, so we have Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
Nice. I have also seen 4 here. I'm just missing bloody the Brutalist.
And I have seen Wicked the Brutalist, Conclave, so I've seen 3 again. It seems to be the case that I've seen yours minus 1.
Yeah.
But they're not always the same films.
I just think this should go to Ariana Grande. I think it's like a really old Hollywood style performance that I really enjoyed. And it's comedic. I like when they recognize comedic performances. But there's also, I think Glinda is such a complex character in that movie.
In what way?
What do you mean in what way? Her ideology behind like the decision that she makes at the end. Mm-hmm. I just think it's fascinating. She has this complete faith in a system that is inherently flawed, and at the end you can like see her like breaking, but she can't pull herself away from it because she has that level of privilege behind her. I think there is a level of depth to her character throughout, and I think as well you have that first little bit where she is like this just mean, Legally Blonde-esque kind of like, no, that's wrong because Elle Woods is very nice in that movie, but like there's a front to her that then gets broken down. You have this like really interesting friendship, and then the ending. I just think there's a lot going on there.
I didn't connect with her performance as much, so I would probably go with Felicity Jones on this one.
Interesting. Okay, Monica Barbara's great and A Complete Unknown, and I said this last week, didn't I? That I was like, she's the standout.
Oh, you did? Yes, you absolutely did.
And
you were like,
so
I'd rather
glad.
see a film made with her about her character.
People weren't really, or the vast majority of people weren't really predicting her for this, and I'm so glad she got nominated. She's spectacular in that movie. It's annoying. I actually think it'll go to Zoe Saldana, and she's fine. She's good in Amelia Perez. She isn't given enough though. I think when I'm comparing it to the other ones I've seen, Ariana Grande does have that, and also Monica Barbara has those little bits of scenes. Isabella Rossellini is in Conclave for like 2 minutes.
I was about to ask, 'cause I actually had to look up that actress. Obviously, I remember her from the film now that I've seen her face.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's barely in it.
And I think she's good in it, but I think it is the writing around her that is giving her this nomination.
Okay.
Because I don't want to spoil Conclave for anybody, but there's a moment that happens there which is like and it features her, but I don't think it's because of her performance necessarily. I don't know. Animated feature film. The nominees are Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot.
I've seen one of these.
I've only seen 2. The Wild Robot's great. I'm happy that got nominated. I think it will win. I haven't seen Flow yet because I don't think it's been out for us, or Memoir of a Snail. And I make my way through Wallace and Gromit stuff at the moment, so I don't know. I have not much to say here.
And I've only seen Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
So my vote goes to Inside Out 2.
Lovely.
I don't
No,
actually
no,
think
no,
it
no,
does.
no.
I think I know that the Wild Robot's better. And if I had like all that pride for Wallace and Gromit, I'm sure I'd be voting for that. But I haven't seen those films, so
yeah, we'll check back in on that. Cinematography.
Or we're skipping animated short film because neither of us have seen anything from them. Okay, so we have. Oh my god, am I going to be able to pronounce some of these names? Do you know how to pronounce all of these names? Okay, so for cinematography, we have The Brutalist, Lol Crowley, June Part 2, Greg Fraser, Amelia Perez, Paul Gulhum.
Guilherme.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
I don't know, but like
Guilherme. I'm just gonna pronounce it in every possible way.
Yep. Okay.
And then you
Cover
can
all
figure it out,
bases.
and you can cut it up. We have Maria Ed Lockman and Nosferatu Jarin Blaschk.
Blaschk. Lovely.
A lot of names that I cannot pronounce.
Again, I've seen 4 of these.
I've seen 3.
Dune Part 2. Better eat them up. I swear, that movie is gorgeous.
It is pretty stunning, isn't it?
I'm very happy with a lot of these nominations. Maria looks lovely, and so does Nosferatu. Amelia Perez does not belong here, but
Brutalist also looks lovely.
I imagine
There's like, I'm not a fan of weird shaky cam stuff. I think you know that.
I do know that because you hate the first Hunger Games.
Yeah, there's a lot of handheld stuff in this film that I really enjoy, and stuff that just shouldn't necessarily like make sense to the light. Like you see Adrian Brody's character come off the boat, and you see the Statue of Liberty, but it's never shot the right way up. It's upside
like
down or it's sideways. Yeah, and it's just. But I loved it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I absolutely loved the cinematography in this film.
Yeah, good nominations there. Maria deserved as well. I love when Pablo Larraín movies get their little cinematography and all. Costume design. We have a complete unknown. Adrian Phillips. Ariane Phillips. Conclave, Lizzie Crystal. Gladiator 2, Janty Yates and Dave Crossman. Nosferatu, Linda Muir, and Wicked, Paul Tazwell.
Oh, I've seen 4 of these. And you've seen all 5?
I've seen all of them. Nice mix of contemporary and like more outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
Which I like because there are some branches of the Academy that I feel like are overt? Is that a word?
I think so.
They're overt to contemporary stuff. So it's very cool to have a complete unknown in here. Which, my god, I wanted like every jacket in that movie. And like Conclave.
Yeah.
Like very interesting stuff. I also love the Gladiator 2 nom here because specifically when I think of that movie, I think of Pedro Pascal in that like white armor. Looked so cool.
I'm trying to think of how I feel about all the costume design in all these films. Nosferatu was great. You can't, but I don't know if you can go wrong there so much because I feel like those time periods are covered like inside and out.
You can get it wrong, and I know a lot of people who are into like costuming are like. I have a friend who I can't even recall the entire argument they made about it, but it was about like corsets, and corsets are always like used wrong. They're just like period pieces, but actually corsets weren't introduced to a certain time and
whatever. I guess a certain trend or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
God, I'd maybe give that to Conclave.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'll probably do a little bit more stuff. I did like the costumes in Wicked, and there is so many of them as well.
Yeah, to me they look like kind of like cheap theatre kind of costumes, which makes sense. Like it is kind of
par for the course.
It's a very bright. What people complained about the
being muted. Yeah,
but I don't think you could necessarily say that for the costumes.
Yeah.
So they make sense within that universe. I don't know.
Yeah. Directing.
Okay. Directing, Anora, Sean Baker, The Brutalist, Brady Corbet, Complete Unknown, James Mangold, Amelia Perez, Jacques Audiard. Love that. The Substance, Corley Farjat. Excellent. Names are
French
difficult.
names in there.
Yeah.
Let's go France.
So I have seen 2 of these.
And I've seen 4. Some people don't belong in this category, in my opinion.
Wow.
The fact that Denis Villeneuve is not here has
shocking.
pissed me off. The Academy just completely snubbed Dune Part 2. And it's so interesting. I was listening to somebody talk on TikTok about this. When that came out, people were like, ugh, the fucking Oscars have been decided already. That's the front runner. It's going to sweep all the awards because it was that good. And it feels like people just forgot.
You think it's because it was that long ago?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like they have something against Denis as well. Like, he wasn't nominated for part one. And, like, to craft a world like that, I just don't understand how that's not in, and something like A Complete Unknown or Emilia Perez is, in my opinion. Shocking. Also shocking to me that Guadagnino is not in here for either of his films, but that was a long shot, I feel like.
Who would you give this to? I'm assuming Nora.
At the moment, I would give it to Sean Baker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you? Because you've seen Anora and The Brutalist.
I don't know.
The two front runners.
I have the Brutalist buzz from today, so yeah, maybe the Brutalist. I honestly don't know.
Interesting. Because you really liked Anora as well.
Yeah, I really did. Like, I loved Anora. Both of them I want to watch again. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting going through this. I'm like, there's some that I want to rewatch and some that I don't. Like movies.
I don't think that makes so last year I had probably more to watch on the run up to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And I remember being quite excited to watch a lot of them. I don't know if I'm as excited to watch the nominees this year. Maybe because I've seen all the best ones.
Maybe.
Like, Emilia Perez is in here for loads, and I know Emilia Perez isn't good.
13 nominations. Now, Owen, it got 13 nominations, so it's certifiably good.
Yeah.
We'll get into that when you watch it.
Documentary feature film. Neither of us have seen.
We can skip over documentary and
documentary short film.
Yeah.
Nope. Film editing.
Just briefly, skipping over them because it's not something that we keep up with.
Yeah.
Prior to the nominations, if we watch them because they've been nominated, I'm sure we'll talk about them.
Sure, I think I watched some documentary short films last year.
Yeah, I remember you went.
There's a really good Disney one that I like.
Of the Last Repair Shop?
Yeah, that was it.
Pluck that out my arse, Jesus!
Yeah.
Wow.
I said it was musical. What I mean is, I think they're fixing a lot of musical instruments in that short film, and you see all these backstories, and I just loved it.
Film editing.
So we have Anora, Sean Baker, The Brutalist, David Yankso, sorry, Conclave, Nick Emerson, Emilia Perez, Juliette Welfling, and Wicked, Myron Kirstein.
Nice. A theme with a lot of my complaints with the nominees this year is Wise Challengers not here.
Got 4 out of the 5 for this. And you have 5.
No,
4 out of 5 because
yeah.
you haven't seen The Brutalist.
The editing Challengers is so good.
We're going to have to get over the fact that Challengers isn't here, Jack.
No, this is reacted to the nominations, so every single one I'm allowed to go Challengers. Yeah, I immediately feel like this should go to Anora.
Fair.
Because it's able to keep that level of comedy going throughout the entire second act. It doesn't let up.
Yeah. There's so much
and then it packs the punch.
Tension.
Yeah.
I'll go with Anora. Yeah.
I do think it is impressive with musicals. I'm not including Emilia Perez in this. I'm just talking about Wicked. When you are able to edit the live singing, there's a lot. Actually, never mind. That'll come under sound. I'm literally talking about sound design.
International feature film.
See,
I've not seen any of.
The nominees are Brazil for I'm Still Here, Denmark for The Girl with the Needle, France for Emilia Perez, Germany for The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Latvia for Flow. I've only seen Emilia Perez. This nomination, this category, and I've heard someone else talking about this, annoys the fuck out of me when it's obvious. Because Emilia Perez has 13 nominations, so I wonder what's going to win International Feature Film.
You never know.
You never know, I guess.
You never know.
Very cool to see Flo in here because it's animated, and that really happens.
Oh, great. So we've managed to give me all of the millions of names.
No. You could just read the movie. There's a million names for makeup and hairstyling.
Okay, so we have A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked.
As is a trend with the Academy, it's very much do you have a lot of prosthetics? you're getting a nomination. So yeah, this is obvious to me, and I think it will be obvious when you watch it. There is stuff that happens in the substance
Okay.
that is just insane.
But like brilliant makeup and hairstyle.
Yeah,
Just
like
unreal.
the prosthetics is unbelievable.
Okay.
This doesn't really spoil anything really, but Margaret Qualley, she's in that much prosthetics. The story came out that the only thing of her body that was visible was one of her eyes.
Only one.
Only one.
Interesting.
It's like genuinely nuts. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm on about. But even prior to that, there is so much makeup and hairstyling that's just genius.
So annoying I missed this one in the cinema. And I really need to see a real pain before it goes.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Not gone yet.
Yeah, there's something. I mean, not a massive horror fan or something, but it was certainly an experience in the cinema. Music, original score. We have The Brutalist by Daniel Blumberg, Conclave by Volker Bertelmann, Emilia Perez by Clement Ducal and Camille, Wicked by John Powell and Stephen Schwartz, and The Wild Robot by Chris Bowers. I've seen 4 again, just not The Brutalist.
I've seen 3.
I was going to say I'm quite happy with this. I will mention, because this is the category that I should be mentioning it. Challengers should 1000 billion% be here.
Sure.
The fact that it won the Golden Globe.
Interesting.
Really annoying. However, it should be here. It really should be here. The rest of them, I actually don't mind them being nominated. Emilia Perez was a bit but there were elements of that score that I think are good. Wicked also, I think people are like, why? Because it's not for the songs, it's for the score.
Yeah, but it really, you'd have it, is it?
But I actually think there are parts to the score that are interesting about Wicked.
I need to rewatch it to remember parts of the score, to be honest. I think I remember, well, obviously, The Brutalist, I like the score.
Heard very good things.
Yeah, and Conclave, that had a really good
so
score.
good, yeah.
Because I think I remember us leaving and being like, "Oh, did you like the score?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like." So
it's very like thriller tensiony.
Yes, yeah.
I actually, out of these, I actually think The Wild Robot is a really good score. It's like pushes you in the right places kind of score.
Right.
Like, yeah, come on, cry, why don't you? But Conclave being like kind of a challengers-y thing of it perfectly fitting the tone of what the film was trying to go for. I think would be quite a deserved win. But I haven't seen The Brutalist, so I don't know.
Cool. Music, original song. I'm not reading all
Skip
these
the
names.
names,
This
there's
is
a million,
wild.
yeah.
We have El Mal, The Journey, Like a Bird, Mi Camino, and Never Too Late. So just realised that they have what films they're from. So the El Mal is from Emilia Perez. Mi Camino is also from Emilia Perez. The Journey from the 688s, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, and Never Too Late from Elton John. Never Too Late.
This is an awful, awful, awful nomination list.
I mean, I don't know any of these.
The songs that Emilia Perez are horrendous. If anything, La Vaginoplastic should have been nominated. I guess a little bit of context for you, unless you know this. The Journey from the 688, you might be like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's written by Diane Warren. Diane Warren has, I don't even know, like, a mad amount of song nominations. She just gets nominated every year. She writes a song for a movie and she gets nominated.
So she's just brilliant.
She's never really wins.
But she's always nominated.
I think they just keep giving her nominations. I don't really know. Like a Bird, I've seen Sing Sing. I don't really remember it, and I've never seen Elton John Never Too Late. It's just a bad category in my opinion. Where's Not My Fault from Mean Girls by Renee Rapp and Megan Thee Stallion?
Oh,
come on now.
Best Picture.
Ooh, we should have ended on this, but let's go. Oh me,
Yeah, I guess
sorry.
it was you.
A lot. I'm not gonna read out the
screw
because a lot of them were just nominees to be determined on the day, which is hilarious. We have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. So, I've seen 7 of these so far.
I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only seen 5. That's really annoying.
Sucker. I'm Still Here hasn't released in the UK yet. Nickel Boys had the shortest cinema runtime ever. It still is in cinemas, but like one showing at like 10 a.m. on a Monday. Like,
oh, great. So I'm not making that.
yeah. And then I haven't seen The Brutalist, obviously. I think this is a really interesting lineup for Best Picture. It's cool to see I'm Still Here in here.
Okay.
Because people have said it's very good. And it's another international film, which I feel like is kind of increasingly rare. I would have loved to have seen A Real Pain in here, though, and I'm sad it isn't. And Emilia Perez can... I was about to say choice words. I'll just leave it. Shouldn't be here.
Who do you want to win?
Who do I want to win?
And who do you think will win?
Who do I think will win changes day to day as we
Okay.
learn more stuff. And obviously, like between now and then, we have BAFTA, SAG, PGA. I think it's between Emilia Perez, Anora, and The Brutalist.
Of those, you want Anora to win.
Of those, I would want Anora to win, but because I haven't seen The Brutalist.
Yep.
I guess if I was just picking, I'd want Dune Part 2 to win. And maybe that is part of me just going like, they didn't give them the recognition they deserve elsewhere.
Sure.
That I want them to take home this prize. But I think what he did with that movie is incredible. What about you?
That's a good question. I had Dune 2 as my number 2 on my top 10. But I feel like I might want Anora to win.
It'd be very cool because Sean Baker has been going for a while and he's made some incredible movies. And it feels like this is the first time he's being like acknowledged kind of for his work. So
I also
I
really
get
like
it.
The Brutalist.
Oh, really? That much?
Yeah. Conclave is great too, but I wouldn't have it as the winner, I don't think.
That's the film that when I'm reading this, I'm like, I want to rewatch that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I'm so glad we saw that when we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got production design. These are in a weird order. You would think that the best picture nominees would be at the end of this list. It's whatever.
Have you noticed the order it's going in?
What order? Is it literally like...
You got this. I believe in you. Find the pattern.
This is literally alphabetical.
Yes.
I was going to say that, and then I was like looking at them. I was like, is it? Find the pattern. We got production design. Again, not reading the names because there's a couple of people. We have The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. Who would you like to win this, Jack?
I wonder. Dune.
Yeah. But knowing that The Brutalist was made with $10 million,
Oh, you feel like...
because of that fact,
Yeah,
that
sure.
would be great. But also Dune Part 2, because of how it looks in entirety. Like,
Yes. I think this is actually a very good lineup. Having not saw The Brutalist, I'm sure it's great because what you said. But like,
oh, this is an excellent lineup.
Nosferatu's castle's unreal.
Yeah.
That entire sequence is so cool. And Wicked, despite people not liking how it's shot, like, the production design is there, and you can see that in Shiz University and the tons of tulips that they planted, like the Emerald City.
Yeah, where I feel like Wicked might have been lacking in, because I mentioned costume design, which it's not like I loved it or anything. I didn't think the CGI was great or anything. I do think the production design was probably one of the best aspects of that lot. Do you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's as much as I have to say about that.
Cool. Moving on to sound, we have, again, so many names, so just reading the movies. A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot.
Well, I've got my winner.
What, Dune Part 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. The feeling of, like, even just that sandworm sequence.
Yeah. I always think about the
thumpers.
The thumpers in the sand. Like,
Totally.
Yeah, no,
It suffers from sequelitis shit. Where it's like, oh, we've seen that being done, and it was acknowledged then.
sure.
So why acknowledge it again?
Yeah.
That's annoying. Hans Zimmer was disqualified from the score section because it used over 25%, I think, of his like original score.
Wow.
And Denis Villeneuve kind of kicked up about it, which now I'm thinking is this tied to like why they shut him out? Because he was like, but he did exemplary work despite that. And I always point to Paul and Shani's love theme because that's original to Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, so I've seen Wicked, Dune Part 2, and that's that. So obviously Dune Part 2 for me.
The sound is great in Wicked. It's kind of what I was getting at before, like them live singing.
Yeah.
And how that has to like get incorporated into the movie. Stunning. Also, love that the Wild Robot's here. I just love seeing animation outside of the animated category. I think it's so cool. And the sound in that is beautiful. Again, with the Complete Unknown, that live singing kind of stuff as well. And Emilia Perez is there.
For visual effects, again, not reading the names because there's a million people. We have Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I have an obvious choice here.
Dune Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen
However, go ahead.
3 of these films. So I've seen Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Wicked. You know I'm a big VFX guy, so I have like opinions.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes looks great though.
You know, I was really shocked because I think I didn't love the VFX in it for reasons. Still it's good, I think. I just think the middle two look more realistic. But I think I did have that thing, I'd like to openly admit to it, where I think I was shitting on scenes that I thought had bad VFX and it wasn't even like VFX, it was like real life. Like I think there was more.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You've looked into it since and actually realised.
Yeah, because I think that does happen sometimes. I mean, I remember the arguments over Avatar 2 and like what was real and what wasn't with that like hand shot with the tying of the. So I guess maybe it was like the combination of things in that scene that were like throwing it off for me, because I guess compositing maybe was my problem more than the actual VFX itself or whatever.
Where does that fall under though? Would that not still fall under visual
effects?
effects?
It is visual effects. Maybe I thought my problem was completely with CGI, but it was maybe more compositing or something along those lines. So it was still within the VFX realm. Yeah, Dune Part 2 looked unreal.
Yeah, I don't think you're coming close to it. I mean, the rest of these movies looked great. I've seen 4, I just haven't seen Better Man. But it's the same studio that worked on the Apes movies, no?
I think it might have been. I mean, that would make sense because like some studios just have their expertise. I don't remember who it was, but there was a specific studio that had like expertise with water VFX in like the early 2000s, late 90s. So they used them for like the Mummy movie, I think.
Right, okay.
So that kind of does tend to happen. I mean, nowadays I think they're all blending together and what their expertise are. Although I think people like Weta are pretty much so far ahead of other people. I think it is Weta that did Avatar.
Briefly before we move on, opinions on Wicked VFX?
About the VFX. Yeah, I didn't like the Wicked VFX generally. It's funny though because I have different opinions on like the scenes that I don't like. Because there's the scene dancing through life in the library.
That's just because the way it's shot.
Right, but I did think people maybe had problems with the if there is. I don't even know if there is VFX in it. I think people just thought it looked funny.
It's the lighting because they use like a white light source, so everything becomes a bit like a backlit.
I remember the train being like, "Whoa, that does not look good."
I didn't mind it, but I do remember you having issues.
Yeah, but there's other bits like there's parts I had zero issues with, like the opening with like Glinda landing in the bubble. I think looked great. I don't remember ever having issues with that. I think you can see a lot of that like is a set in again compositing, like whatever they've blended that with as the background and the surrounding area, like it all looks great. There's nothing there that I would have been like, oh, that looks gross. So I don't know. It varies as the film goes on. A lot of I didn't like the CGI like apes and stuff.
Better than the ones from fucking Gladiator 2 though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that stuff is like a hit or a miss. I think as we get to the point where CGI becomes easier, people rush things more, and then it just becomes like, oh, it's good enough. And that's like we're like 90% of the way there, but a lot of the time that 10% is what kind of makes this shot. So
yeah. Moving on to writing, adapted screenplay, we have A Complete Unknown, screenplay by James Mangold and Jay Cox. Conclave, screenplay by Peter Strahan.
sure.
Emilia Perez, screenplay by Jacques Audiard in collaboration with Thomas. Oh gosh,
A lot of names.
Thomas Bidengain, Leah Messius, and Nicolas Levici. Nickel Boys, screenplay by Ramel Ross and Jocelyn Barnes, and Sing Sing. Jeezo, screenplay by Clint Bentley, Greg Quidar. Story by Clint Bentley, Greg Quidar, Clarence Macklin, and John Divine G. Whitfield.
Yes, the guy's nickname is in here.
Yeah, well, there are reasons for that when you watch the movie, I guess.
I've only seen Conclave.
Lovely. I've seen 4 of these. I've just not seen Nickel Boys.
Does Conclave win it?
I think Conclave will win it. And from what I've seen, I think it should win it.
Okay.
Guess we could just move on. And the last category...
Original screenplay. We have Anora, written by Sean Baker. The Brutalist, written by Brady Corbet and Mona Fastvold. A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg. September 5, written by Moritz Binder, Tim Fellbaum, co-written by Alex David, and The Substance, written by Coralie Farge. I can't remember how.
Farge? I don't know. Lovely. I quite like this category from what I've seen. I've only seen 3. Give this to Anora or A Real Pain. A Real Pain screenplay is delicious. It's scrumptious.
I might give this to Nora because of it's literally like how you were talking about comedy. It must be so difficult to write.
Oh,
So being able to, I genuinely do. Like, performing comedy is hard, but like, imagine writing anything comedic to paper and being like, oh, this will work. Like, how do you know that that's going to work?
Yeah.
So yeah, I might give it that.
September 5 is not out here yet. We will have a review in a few weeks, though.
Is it our story or is it theirs?
Yeah, judging from the trailer, don't know if that's a deserved nom.
Yeah.
Where's Challengers, huh?
Fair.
Truly, if I walk out that movie and it's as bad as that, I'll be livid. How's The Brutalist? So that's what I was going to end on.
Oh, great.
As a screenplay.
I'd imagine so. Like, it's brilliant all round.
Okay.
Maybe I am just too hyped after watching it out of it.
But that's a lovely feeling to have.
Oh no, it is really nice. Like, I don't feel like I've had a lot of that recently. Like, we've walked out of like Conclave and Anora. I mean, like, those were good movies.
And that was a while ago.
Yeah, but like since then, like, I don't know what I've walked out of.
Sure.
We've watched a lot of films where I've been like, oh, I like that, but I didn't fall in love with it. Like, we walked out of like The Apprentice, and I was like, that was really good. Didn't have the same feeling as I did when I watched Anora or Conclave, or The Brutalist. So like, yeah, I don't know.
Lovely, and those were the Oscar noms. We will have updated stuff in a few weeks before the Oscars, which should be fun. So yeah, maybe try catch up with some of these prior to then. But thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much for joining us on this.
Yeah, I think this has been a pretty packed episode.
Yeah, we started this being like, yeah, it's probably gonna be quite short. It wasn't. Like, subscribe, follow,
do all the things you're supposed to do.
Rate,
just support us wherever you can.
Next week we will be talking about Saturday Night, I think.
I actually do think that's the film, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe another film, and I can't remember.
That's fine.
Saturday Night and something else.
I just remember Saturday Night because we talked about it briefly like a few weeks ago.
Hard Truths, or like Nickel Boys, something.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Come join
We'll
us.
make it fun.
But yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. I always want to look over